Okay, so radicals are that square root sign. It is an expression with a square root. Parts of a radical expression right here. The number underneath the square root is called a radicand. And then the number in front is a coefficient.
Yes, sir.
Do you need a pencil? Anyways, a radical expression is an expression with the square root symbol. And then perfect square numbers is something that's going to come up a lot today. Perfect squares are numbers that have like a perfect square. So the square root of 49 is 7, because 7 times 7 is 49. Square root of 100 is 10. Square root of 9 is 3. And square root of 16 is 4, because 4 times 4 is 16. The lesson isn't quite that easy, but we are using these perfect squares in the lesson. Yes. Oh yeah, just throw one of these. Okay, so we're going to focus on simplifying radical expressions. So here we have square root of 20. You may be thinking, oh, just plug it in a calculator, but that's not what we're doing today. Actually, we're doing no calculator work with this. What we're going to do is split this up into two factors. So square root of 20 is the same as 4 times 5. Then you can rewrite this as square root of 4 times square root of 5. Square root of 4 is just 2, and then this 2 square root of 5. And that's it. So in math people world, this is considered simplified compared to this. Some of you might argue that this looks simpler, but you know, I'm not here to argue it, I'm just here to teach it. Something else to take note is when I broke up 20 into two factors, I could have done 2 and 10 or 1 and 20. The reason why I used 4 and 5 is because 4 was a perfect square. So when you're pulling the factors out, pull out perfect squares. That way it comes out like this. For B, splitting up 54, might do 9 times 6. And I'm going to start taking out like the written steps. Square root of 9 is 3. So then we just have 3 square root of 6. And you're done. Now 6 can be broken up as 3 times 2, but there's no perfect squares, so you're done. And for C, 160. I'll break it up as 16 times 10. Square root of 16 is 4, so we get 4 square root of 10. And that's the answer. For D, you have a coefficient here. This 8, square root of 8 can be simplified, so I'm going to write it out as 4 times 2. Square root of 4 is 2. You're going to multiply that by the coefficient. Let me just write it out. So writing it out like this, 6 times 2 times square root of 2. Square root of 4 was 2. Then you get 12 square root of 2. The reason why I wrote it out is because sometimes it's hard to remember what to, you know square root of 4 is 2, but do you add it to 6? Do you multiply it? You do multiply. So when you take that square, you multiply it by the coefficient. Is this familiar to you? Have you seen this before? Some of you, yes. Some of you, no. Some of you are nodding. Some of you are just like, I don't know. Maybe. Okay, so looking at these examples here, what would you do? Here you would do square root of 8 times square root of 2 is square root of 16. And then square root of 16 is 4. And that's it. For the next one, you can multiply numbers in any order. So 2 times square root of 2 times 3 times square root of 14. What they're saying is the easiest way, and I agree, is to just multiply your whole numbers together and then multiply your square roots together. So 2 times 3 is 6. And then square root of 2 times square root of 14 is square root of 28. Then you can simplify the 28. So breaking 28 up into 4 times 7. Square root of 4 is 2. 2 times 6 is 12. So we get 12 square root of 7. And C is the same thing. I'm going to not write down as many steps. I'm just going to multiply 7 times 3 is 21. And square root of 5 times square root of 50 is square root of 250. I do need to simplify this, of course. 25 is a perfect square, so I'll take that out. 21 times square root of 25 times 10. Then 5 times 21 is 105. So square root of 25 was 5. 5 times 21, 105, and that's how I got this. Then we'll flip to the next page. Okay, so starting at the top, now what do we do if there's a fraction in the radical? Now this isn't simplified when you do have a fraction as a in the radical. So you have to split it up like this. Square root of A over square root of B. You also can't have a radical as a denominator, but we'll get to that in a second. So the first example with a fraction underneath the radical symbol, we'll split it up as square root of 36 over square root of 49. And you just get 6 over 7. And that's your answer, 6/7. And then B right here. Same thing, square root of 20 over square root of 9. We split it up like that. Square root of 9 is just 3. That's easy. Square root of 20, I'm going to break it up as 4 times 5. And then you get 2 square root of 5 over 3. And the next examples. Okay, so this one, it just builds on what we just saw. Square root of 1 over square root of 3 is what I'm going to set this up as. I can't have that radical as a denominator, so here's what you do. So make sure you're paying attention for this step. Okay, so to get rid of this square root of 3, we're going to multiply by square root of 3 over square root of 3. We're essentially multiplying by 1. Now square root of 1 is just 1. 1 times square root of 3 is square root of 3. And then square root of 3 times square root of 3 is a whole number 3. And then this is your answer. And then we'll continue that for the next two problems. So for B, I need to get rid of the square root of 7 on the bottom. So I'm going to multiply by square root of 7 over square root of 7. Then you get square root of 21 over 7. And at that point, you're done. Okay, and C, same thing. I'm going to multiply by square root of 8 over square root of 8. Square root of 56 over 8. I do need to simplify that 56. 56, a perfect square in 56 would be 4. If you divide 56 by 4, you get 14. So 4 times 14 is 56. So I'm going to write that out. 4 times 14 over 8. You pull out the square root of 4, which is 2. You get 2 square root of 14 over 8. Then there's one more step. The 2 and the 8 can be simplified like 2 eighths. So you can divide both of those by 2 to get 1/4. And so it's square root of 14 over 4 as your final answer. Okay. Now for the next examples, it combines all the different skills. There's more than one way to go about solving these two. Sometimes there's a more simple or more complicated way, but they always come out to the same answer. So starting with A, I'm going to start over on this side so I have enough room. I'm going to start by doing square root of 12 over square root of 3. Something I've noticed while going through these problems is it's easier to simplify earlier rather than later. So right here, I noticed that square root of 12 can be simplified. So I'm going to break this up as in 4 times 3 over square root of 3. And I'll worry about that in the denominator later. So square root of 4 is 2, so I get 2 square root of 3 over square root of 3. And it looks like my square root of 3 is just going to cancel out, so I don't even have to worry about it. So square root of 3 divided by square root of 3 is 1, so it's nothing. So the answer here is just 2. For B, again, I'm going to simplify earlier rather than later. So splitting up square root of 27, splitting up it up as 9 times 3 over the 12, I'll do 4 times 3. And then square root of 9 is 3. 3 square root of 3 over 2 square root of 3. And then just like in the last one, the square root of 3's cancel, and we're left with 3 halves. C. Okay, so I'm looking for a way to simplify the radicals early, and I can't simplify those. So the first step I'm going to take with this one is just square root of 2 over square root of 2 to get rid of the radical in the denominator. So I get 7 square root of 20 over 2. Then I need to simplify the square root of 20. So 7, 4 times 5. Take the 2 out. 2 times 7 is 14. So I get 14 square root of 5 over 2. And then the coefficient in the denominator can simplify. 2 and 14 can be divided by 2. So divide this by 2 to get 7. Divide this by 2 to get 1. And the answer is 7 square root of 5. It's like combining all the math you've learned since kindergarten. Yes. I don't know. Did it work? I don't remember the rules. I don't remember the rules. I want to say no. But if you tried it and it worked, maybe. Did it work?
I don't know.
I don't Well, I don't think it would. Maybe square root of 5. Oh, you're right. So she's saying square root of 10 divided by square root of 2, you'd get square root of 5. Maybe. It worked for that problem. Does anybody remember if that's a rule? I don't know. Okay, D. I look for a way to simplify. I don't see anything. So I'm just going to get rid of this square root of 10 on the denominator. So square root of 10. Square root of 10. Then 15 times 10, square root of 150. And then here, square root of 10 times square root of 10 is 10, so it would be 3 times 10. 150, I'm going to try to simplify that. I'll take out the factors 25 and 6. Square root of 25 is 5, so I'm left with 5 square root of 6 over 30. And we can simplify that further. The 5 and the 30 can both be divided by 5. Left with square root of 6 over 6.
You said 36 for a second, I put 36.
I don't know. Okay. Same thing. I'm going to get rid of the square root of 6 at the bottom. Get 3 square root of 12 over 6. Then you can simplify the 3 and the 6. Divide by 3 to get 1 and 2. Then square root of 12 can be broken up as 4 times 3 over 2. Square root of 4 would be 2 square root of 3 over 2. And then the 2's cancel. And we just are left with square root of 3. And last but not least, F. We have 10 over 2. I'll simplify that right away to 5 and 1. So then we have 5 square root of 5 over square root of 2. Then multiply by square root of 2 over square root of 2. 5 square root of 10 over 2. Of course, simplify further if you can, but at this point, there's nothing more to simplify. And that's it. Okay, so as far as like your practice for this, your independent practice, normally I have you jump on Schoology, but I'm not going to have you do that. This time, there is a practice page right after this. There's a practice page here. So for this, you're going to go through and try it on your own and complete this page. I have an answer bank up on the board. So as you go through and solve them, just make sure your answers are coming up in the answer bank. If you have questions, of course, let me know. And y'all have to go to bed. Okay, got it.